Hi there, Terry back again. Hope I find you well and hope you've been reading lots of comics. Now, this is time for Detective Comics, as per the thumbnail, and that's part 3, 1972. So, after watching, if you remember to thumbs up, that'd be great. If you would remember to subscribe if you haven't already, and if you would comment. I love people commenting, as I like commenting on comments. My favourite bit. Let's begin. Number 419, January 72. And this is an intriguing cover from Neil Adams, Dick Giordano, and Gaspar Saladino. It's a 52-pager with 2 new and 2 reprints. And the Batman cover story, as you see there, Secret of the Slaying Statues, written by Denny O'Neil, pencils by Irv Novick, and inks by Dick Giordano. And written by Frank Robbins, The Batgirl Tale, Long Live the King, Long Live the Kingpin. Not that one, of course, that's a different company. But the artist is Don Heck, and the 2 reprints are Roy Raymond from Detective Comics 213, November 54, and that is the return of Ben Franklin, and that is written by Jack Miller, artist Ruben Moira. And from Gangbusters number 61, Jan 1958, as usual with Gangbuster books, no writer is known, but art is from the wonderful Nick Cardy, and this is entitled The Human Target. And yes, this is the first appearance of Adam Chance. He was called Bruce Perry back then, but after investigating the character, that's where it led me. Let me know in the comments if you know different. And the extra trivia, letters page included letters from Mike W. Barr and Bob Rozakis. 420, February 72. Again, another Neil Adams, Dick Giordano, and Gaspar Saladino cover. This is another 52-pager, and again, 2 old, 2 new. Batman is in the forecast for tonight. That's the forecast for tonight. Murder. And the writer and artist is Frank Robbins. And Frank Robbins also writes the Batgirl Tale, Target for Manana, or Manana, even. And this is with Don Heck covering the art chores. And as last issue, Jason Bard guest stars. And then the 2 oldies. We have Captain Compass, who first appeared in Star Spangled Comics number 83 from August 48, and this story is entitled X Marks the Mystery, and this was from Detective Comics 215, January 1955. Otto Binder was writing, Joe Serta, the artist. And then we had, from Gangbusters number 57, May 1957, The Man Who Robbed 1,000 Mines, and you guessed it, unknown writer, but art by Mort Meskin, who, for trivia fans, was one of the provincial artists for the 7 Soldiers of Victory that appeared originally in Leading Comics, beginning with number 1 from December 1941. Another missive from Bob Rozakis in the letters page. He gets it out, old Bob. And then we have number 421, March cover date. And this is very crowded for artists on the cover. We have Neil Adams, Alan Kuperberg, Dick Giordano, and Gaspar Saladino. Another 52-pager. We have Batman in Blind Justice, Blind Fear. Like last issue, the writing and art by Frank Robbins. He did let Ben Oda do the lettering. Then Batgirl is Up Against 3 Walls, another story written by Frank Robbins, Don Heck completing the art. Then we really go back in time with a story from Batman number 24, and this is from August 1944, and it was called Police Lineup, and the writer was Joseph Sackmaxon, who is cited as the creator of the Martian Manhunter, along with artist Joe Serta. This story he co-wrote with Don C. Cameron, with the artist Jerry Robinson. And then from Detective Comics 205, March 1954, we have the 3rd appearance of Misto, the Magician Detective. And he's in The Riddle of the Doom Magicians, written by George Cashton, artist Leonard Starr. Misto Magician Detectives creators. 422 next, April cover date. And this cover is a little quieter. It's just Neil Adams and Gaspar Saladino. We have Batman on a Highway to Nowhere, written by Denny O'Neil, pencils by Bob Brown, inks by Dick Giordano. And The Unmasking of Batgirl by Frank Robbins and Don Heck doing the art. The older tales are both from unknown writers. Firstly, from World's Finest number 59, July 52, and it was called The Bush Trackers. The artist was Chad Grothkopf, and his most famous creation was Hoppy the Marble Bunny, who first appeared in Fawcett's Funny Animals number 1, December 42. Where else could you learn this stuff? And then for Gangbusters number 54, or from Gangbusters 54, November 56, The Unseen Clue. And the artist for that was Howard Purcell. Howard Purcell being the co-creator of Sargon the Sorcerer, along with John B. Wentworth. And also The Grim Ghost, previously The Gay Ghost, but renamed in the 70s. And that was with Gardner Fox. Then we have Detective 423, not that you would know it. Most of the issues I've ever seen of this, 3 seems to always be cut off. This is from May cover date, and the cover is by Mike Kaluta and Gaspar Saladino. And we have The Most Dangerous 20 Miles in Gotham City, written by Frank Robbins. Bob Brown did the pencils, Dick Giordano did the inks. Then, in the order of the book, an old tale from Big Town number 15, from May 52. A Shadow of a Doubt, just the artist known, Erwin Hassan, who, along with Bill Finger, created Wildcat, who was first seen in Sensation Comics number 1, January 42. Then the new Batgirl tale is Candidate for Danger, from Frank Robbins and Don Heck. And lastly, from Gangbusters number 26, February 52, The Big Heist, which is artist John Letty. Moving to June now, number 424. This is Mike Kaluta and Gaspar Saladino with the cover. And this was the last of the 52 pages. And the Batman tale was Double Cross Fire. Frank Robbins writes, Bob Brown pencils, Dick Giordano inks. And this story has a first occurrence that still happens today. This is the first time Batman suddenly disappears while poor Commissioner Gordon is still speaking to him. And then we have Batgirl's Last Case. Again, Frank Robbins writes and Don Heck still the artist. This isn't Batgirl's last case, but it is over a year before we see her again. And we see her again in Superman Volume 1, number 268, in October 73, or at least that's the cover date. Oops, you've got the oldies. These 2 oldies begin with Sierra Smith in The Case of the Teetering Tower, from Dale Evans Comics, number 7, October 49. And it's written by John Millard, art by Alex Toth. And then from Gangbusters, we have The Cop Who Shot 1,000 Crooks. And that's from August 55. As usual, no writer, but artists Howard Purcell and Ray Burnley, as in there's no writer known. And yet another letter in the letters page by Rob Rozakis. 425, July cover date. We're back to the 20 censors. And it's a lovely, superb cover by Bernie Wrightson. And of course, Gaspar Saladino doing the colours. And this is The Stage is Set for Murder, for Batman's Tale, Denny O'Neil writing, Irv Novick and Dick Giordano with the art. Pencil and inking in that order. Then Jason Bard takes a centre stage in his story Open and Shut Case. Frank Robbins writing, Don Heck the artist. And no Bob Rozakis letter this time. Oh, 72. Back to the covers by Mike Kaluta and Gaspar Saladino. We have Batman in Killer Roulette. Frank Robbins doing the writing and art. Just leaving poor old Ben Oda to do the lettering again. Batman has to work out how 3 suicides were actually murder. But as there is an issue 427, it seems he certainly does. Then we have Elongated Man, Ralph Dimby, back in Detective. His nose begins vibrating when he comes across the trail of the fadeaway footprints. And this is written by Len Wein, art Dick Giordano, And Ben Oda yet again gets to do the lettering. Now we have a really creepy cover, again by Mike Kaluta and Gaspar Saladino. And this is number 427, September cover date. Batman in a small case of murder. Frank Robbins writes, and this tale of an animated murdering doll. How does Batman save himself this time? Well, I didn't realise his chest envelope was also a pocket. Did you? Oh, and the art again by Irv Novick and Dick Giordano. Then Jason Bard back again in I Wake Up Dying. Poor Jason is set up for a killing after being hired to find a gangster's lost wife. Frank Robbins writing, Don Heck is the artist. Now, this issue brings back memories, as in, unbeknownst to me at the time, this was not distributed into the UK. I believe when I originally bought it from a comic convention, around the time issue 456 was already published, so it took me over 2 years to originally acquire it. No eBay in those days. Thankfully, there were people that bought from the States or were from the States in the early days of conventions in the UK. Right, boring bit over. This is 428 October 72, Mike Kaluta and Gaspar Saladino with the cover. And again from Frank Robbins, Bob Brown and Dick Giordano, the toughest cop in Gotham. And this toughest cop was called Steve Shotgun Smith, and he makes his first appearance in this. Then Hawkman Tale by E. Nelson Bridwell, pencils by Dick Dillon, inks by Joe Gellar. It was called The Invisible Thief of Bleak Hill Manor. Artifacts are being stolen, but only the cheap ones. But then it dawns on Hawkman what is actually happening, and arrest isn't far away. And yes, there is a Bob Rozakis letter in the letters page. Down to left. This is 429 November cover date. Another Mike Kaluta cover with Nick Cardy and Gaspar Saladino doing the inking and colouring this time. And first we have Batman, Man-Bat over Vegas. Frank Robbins doing all the chores again, other than the lettering. You know who does that. This is a case of is it or is it not Man-Bat? And then Jason Bard in the case of the loaded case, wherein Jason is hired to guard a valise with $100,000 in of counterfeit money. That's also written by Frank Robbins and Don Heck and Joe Gellar doing the art. And Mike W. Barr this time writing a letter. Lastly, this year we have number 430, December cover date, with a Jim Aparo and Gaspar Saladino cover. Maybe the first Jim Aparo cover for Detective. Let me know in the comments if that is correct. Batman's story title, Clue of the False Faces. A story written by Frank Robbins, all about Batman having amnesia. He remembers he is Batman, but not the guy under the cowl. And spoilers, it's not Bruce Wayne. Pencils, Bob Brown, inks, Nick Cardy. And next we have Elongated Man in The Haunted Studio Mystery